This is for the leaders, the visionaries, the hope bringers, kindness instigators. This is your place to get loved, poured into, activated, and inspired. Well, good morning. Welcome to Fireside Friday, February 20th. And welcome to the year of the fire horse. This week is so interesting because we have so many things converging at one time, astrologically and calendar-wise. I read a post this morning that was kind of looking at this is the year, this week in particular, we have some things that are aligning that are kind of unprecedented. It hasn't, I don't know that it's happened before or that it might happen again, but this week we have the Chinese New Year, which was Tuesday. We have the start of Ramadan, which is from the Muslim faith. We have Lent for Christianity. So we have all of these different momentous things for different fades happening at one time, which is really cool and interesting and aligning. But I was feeling into today's fireside, and so much of what's been coming through has been around um, reminding ourselves that the world that we want to actually, it comes from directly from the song for our song today. It's called Start With Yourself. And the artist is the Chord Line, Chordline. And one of the lines says that if you want to change the world, start with yourself. And real change is closer than it seems. It starts with the love you give and with the love you give and the dreams you give. And so much, at least for me, so much of the energy of January and the initial part of February, I felt some really highs, but mostly a lot of lows. I went through some sickness. We had a death. I injured myself last week. There's been a lot in my life uh, leading up to this transition into the new year of the fire horse, where my snake was clearly shedding some more of its skin. And that's okay. But one of the things that was really cool that I read this week, which is a different take, because if you have been seeing posts about the momentum of the horse here and how much we're going to race forward and move forward in momentum, which is great. Something I saw this week was a little bit of a different take, which comes back to the heart of the message. If you want to change the world, start with yourself. Um, Let me pull up my little photo cards here. And I'm going to read it. This came from like a shared post. And so I don't know the original poster. It's just tagged, like with logos on graphics from Spirit Daughter. So I am not entirely sure what who posted this, but I love the concept and I try as much as I can to give credit where credit is due. So she wrote, "The year of the fire horse is days away." So this was a couple days ago. Remember, Tuesday was Chinese New Year. So this is when we stepped into that energy. The year of the fire horse is days away. Everyone is talking about forward momentum, bold action, and big moves, but no one is talking about the real medicine of the horse. A horse's heart generates an electromagnetic field of up to 5 times larger than a human's. It radiates outward like a sphere and can directly influence the heart rhythm of anyone standing near it. This is why people cry around horses without knowing why. This year will amplify whatever you're carrying in your heart. Your energy isn't just felt by you. Horses are emotional mirrors. Studies show they absorb and reflect the emotional state of the humans around them. If you're calm, they calm. If you're anxious, they feel it instantly. The fire horse here will reflect your energy right back to you. Regulate first, manifest second. Horses only sleep about 3 hours a day. When they lie down for deep rest, another horse always stands guard. This isn't the year to glorify exhaustion, but it is the year to ask who you trust enough to truly let your guard down around. Rest isn't a weakness, it's a strategy. Horses have what's called a coherent heart rhythm, a pattern linked to calm, joy, and low stress. Their field is so powerful that simply standing near a horse can shift your own heart into that same rhythm. Become the most regulated version of yourself this year. Watch how everyone around you starts to shift too. Coherence is contagious. And that has really been coming through this week is a reminder. Um, something I used to hold myself to was, and I'm still releasing, is this idea of almost encountering something in the perfect way or without, for me, it looked like trying not to show fear or acknowledging fear. And to be honest, I was telling someone this week, I don't actually remember having a lot of fear ever in my life up until recently. And I think a lot of that is because I didn't feel like I was allowed to show that fear. First of all, too, because leaders showing fear, at least from the paradigm that I was taught through, is a weakness. It is not showing strength. It means someone could take advantage of you or start believing that you don't know what you're talking about and why should they trust you and all of these things. And so, what I've been trying to do in this space is every week to come as honestly as possible into this space with the energy I'm holding and the things that I'm navigating. And that is a change at letting you see me cry, crying with me in this place. But what I wanted to really say is that I really feel like life is so full of this dichotomy of light and dark, of happiness, of sadness. We need all of the nuance. I need the fear in my life to clarify what's important to me. Honestly, it does highlight some things, right? It starts to show. Where am I scared? Where am I also giving my power away? That was something at the beginning of this week that my mentor, Nicole, was talking about with a client, and she reflected that back to me. She was talking about how often when we are riding someone else's boat, when we're jumping onto the fear wagon, when we are letting that lead us, we are giving our power away. And I think the goal, and this is from, I think Elizabeth Gilbert talks about this in Big Magic. I'm pretty sure this is where she references it. She talks about how necessary fear is, that fear is helping, trying to keep us safe, and that it's always going to be in the car with us, but that we don't let it drive or pick the music. And sometimes I think, again, remembering where are we spending time? What are we chewing on in our mind? What are we absorbing in what we're consuming digitally and what we're consuming in the world? What do the conversations look like? Because again, as leaders, as people who want to bring love, I think it's really important that we do acknowledge our fear together, that we share those fears. Not everyone deserves a seat in your car. I loved that, in that original post, we're talking about horses standing guard for each other. I really think that at this time and this space, it's really important that you do have people around you who can help stand guard or reflect back to you, to check in on you, who help regulate and support you. That's going to be essential as you continue to carry out the things that you desire and the changes that you want to see. I've also been singing like all week long, what a wonderful world" by Louis Armstrong, because for me, getting bogged down in some of that fear, or camping out there a little too long, um, it started to get really not just uncomfortable, but it's a stagnation. So this is also part, I think, of our work. As the light comes through the window, I'll try to shift so it's not blinding me. But I think part of our work is that acknowledgement, right? It is the acknowledgement of the fear. It is allowing ourselves to be afraid. It's okay to be uncertain. And I think, and that has, well, that's a paradigm shift for me. allowing uncertainty. Because the other thing that I've really continuing to process and analyze is where I am in relationship to my spiritual beliefs. And if I continue going back to or zooming out, if I go back to to thinking about what I really feel like inherently when I really slow down to zoom out and think about what I believe about life. It is that we are here at this time for this reason, that we are deeply loved, known, and that also this actually isn't new. A lot of the things that we're experiencing, I mean, it's new. It's a energy that we haven't experienced in a long time in this world, but this world has been existing long before us. And so I think remembering and being brought back to, do I believe what I say that I believe? If I say that I believe that love is bigger, that it has more space, then choosing to find where that's true or look for where that's true around me is really, really important. And I think that that's really ultimately what I was seeking to get at with the coherence, with the horse here, with reminding ourselves that to be the calm in the chaos, to be the leaders who take people into a new paradigm, who are bridges into something else that's being built, and to birth new ideas and to create new things and new ways of being, means that we have to continue staying close to things that also remind us of the goodness of life, that reflect the love in the world. Um, because if I want to create more love, chances are I need to be hanging out with love. I need to be finding places where love is meeting me, meeting my life. An example of this too is I'll be honest, like I mentioned, I came to the end of last week and was like, ah, because like I said, I mentioned, I'm not usually sick. So we had the sickness. We had a close family friend with death who died. And, and then and then I got injured. So, but what I have been focusing on in that injury, not at first, I had to cry about it first, which was actually really good. And something I noticed again as a point of reflection or analyzing, sorry, surge, like this is happening right now. That's super loud. I don't know if they can hear it, but I can hear it. Okay. So, taking us off course. Um, one of the things that I didn't plan on was getting injured, and I haven't really struggled a lot with injury in my life either. But focusing on the support that I did have, asking for help, that has been a huge shift and change. For me, acknowledging that I need support. We actually have this like foot brace that he and I have both used. It actually is his. He had some Achilles issues. But what I've been struck by with wearing this like brace, got it here, is just like, I mean, it's so thin, and it's got very few actual parts to it. But it has helped us so much over the last year or two. We've had different foot ailments, like randomly. At least for me, it's random. Like my left foot, last year, I hurt it somehow, like in the middle, raising or something. I don't know. But when I fell last week, my right foot went up under me and like bent bent this way, pop, 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 all the way around. So I didn't know what I'd be looking at. No breaks. I was able to put some weight on it. But one of the things too, again, it's how simple it can be to have something that supports my uh my struggling ligaments. And I keep coming back to thinking about, what does that look like for us? What do those braces look like for us as leaders who are seeking to set the coherent pace, who are who are desiring to change the temperature, to be the thermostat instead of the thermometer, to be the people who are responding instead of reacting. And I heard this several years ago too, that the person of peace is the person who maintains the control. I don't, anyway, being a person of peace is going to continue to be, in my mind, a very grounded and needed place for people in the world over the next coming years, especially this year, but I think this is going to continue. So just recognizing, again, this isn't new. Um, we're allowed to be multifaceted. We're allowed to have that uncertainty, but then also remembering that we have the power to remember where our power is going. Who are we giving that to? How are we actually feeling day in and day out? Of our lives. And like I said, I think one of the things that are so simple or has just a little reframe is looking for the glimmers, the sunshine. I think for me, I was thinking this morning, I'm so grateful that we're also moving a little bit more towards the spring, the lights coming back. And we're, at least right now, we're having some more sunshine, which I have really, really benefited from. But even on days when it's cloudy, like finding moments of sunshine, looking for the helpers, noticing where in your life or who in your life feels like a hug. Sometimes we just need to sit close to them. We need to hang out with them. And sometimes the people who are here to give big hugs need us close to them, reminding them that they have given us big hugs because they need one too. And so it is in that reciprocity of remembering and being reminded that we're all co-creating this together, that coherent energy, if we'll let it. And so remembering too, that the more that we can ground and regulate and lean into trusting that we are held no matter what's coming at us, that we are capable, that we'll have the tools, that we'll have the support. Um, that allows us, I think, to make those decisions, to bring the change, to be the change, and to also be invitations into something bigger. Because so much of what I have seen personally is I see aspects or pieces of things I would like to be ushering in, but they're not quite complete. And that's for different reasons, where whether it's a practitioner or facilitator who needs to go deeper on their own work, or maybe they're still clinging also to old paradigms of what I see us shifting out of. But that's part of the work that I'm here to bring in. If I'm so focused on what's going on or what's wrong or other people doing things I don't like, that puts me in an energy, that critical energy of out of creation and into judgment. It doesn't mean that we can't be judging and discerning to in our creative process. Sometimes that is just noticing, what don't I like about what's happening? Well, how would I do it differently? But really making sure too that we are putting the energy forward in a way that feels really good and aligned to ourselves. Um, and that requires that regulation for us being in nature, finding those glimmers, staying close to people who make you feel like possibility is possible, that your imagination, creativity, and desire are beacons, and that we continue to foster those even when it's hard, even when the atmosphere around us is dark. And it's especially really, really important for you to continue to ground and regulate you, like I said. So because that is the only way that the initiatives that you want to bring will really be fostered into life. Okay, I've got our card for us today. I don't think I've actually ever pulled this card. So, Fire Guardian, ignite your passions. This is coming from, oh, he's super shiny. I love that. He's a shiny guardian from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle. Message: connect with your desires. The sparks could lead to something beautiful. Um, The fire garden represents the angel of fire. Fire is an energy that many people are afraid of, but shouldn't be. Burning desires can lead to great expansion. Allow the fire guardian to help you awaken a wilder side of yourself and burn away any fear or shame that stands between you and your desires. When this card appears, you are reminded that passion is powerful and absolutely encouraged by spirit. You're being guided by your angels to connect with the powerful energy of desire at this time. If you have recently set an intention to explore your sexual side or become more sexually open, the fire of desire can burn away any old setbacks that are preventing you from expressing that part of your nature. If you are in a relationship, this card can indicate a great spiritual and sexual connection. What I like about this card too, we are in the year of the fire horse, but passion, when this card appears, you are reminded that passion is powerful and absolutely encouraged by spirit. What is coming through for me is that passion requires energy, it requires commitment and allowance. Um, and I think that that continues to be like the message in this space is a reminder that our internal world, our our desire to again bring something that isn't here before or creating new ways starts inside of us. And those of us who are here to instigate that change, it is going to require the energy to bring that passion. And passion too, I think, is an interesting, it's almost like I was going to say an interesting mistress. Got that sexual energy. But an interesting co-creator, our passion, because it does ebb and flow. And if we are constantly in a state where we are in fear, fear makes us actually contract. It makes us and it also does lower our vibration. It makes us a lower frequency. It's like a lower, it's why you can feel when someone might be off or when you feel sad, even though they look normal, but you're like, something's up because we sense their field is not quite as big as we're used to. And this is why too that the horse, right? 5 times. If we can imagine that if we can ground and co-regulate with our passion, with our ancestors, with nature, recognizing that we don't have to just be the force behind it, but that we're being fueled. Again, I think that I started to say this with the brace. We have the support. We have the support of people that we choose physically in our life, but also spiritually. And so I think, again, a reminder that we are not doing this alone. We're doing it together. And that we have the support that we need when we can ask for it. But also, if we're letting fear drive the car, if fear stays in control, if we continue to give our power to that fear, as opposed to letting it work for us, letting it be a clarifier, let it be an indicator, because exploring what our fear means for us, like I said, is clarifying. It does make a way. Um, no matter what, we are moving this year. There is going to be momentum. So deciding how do we want that momentum to feel for us? What do we want reflected back to us? And again, that doesn't mean um, holding something, like not trying to be afraid, not trying to be uncertain. It means making space for your fear and making space for your uncertainty, but again, not letting them drive the car and recognizing and having people around you who are also able to recognize and maybe recognize where we are kind of going off kilter, even if we don't like some of that reflection coming back. Sometimes, too, those people in our life who are there to support, sharpen, and encourage us have things to offer us that don't feel fun. So anyway, I was about to get into another tangent. What is important here in this moment again is starting with you. It always is. It's always starting with us, with our internal space, and that moving outside. Um, And then also remembering that that passion that you're here, that you have, that is inherently your own, that's going to feed and fuel your work, requires tending. It does. It requires space and navigation, and it's okay to be in that uncertainty. And allowing the uncertainty and fear is also how we move. We can't just hold an attitude of, it's not mine, it's not mine, it's all ours. But choosing what we're going to hold, what we're going to use to fuel us, because fear can motivate. Um, Fear is a motivator. I have found that it detracts. Like I said, it takes us into a lower vibrational place. And I am much more drawn to those who feel grounded, who feel warm and light, who feel, and that doesn't always mean that warm and light people aren't strong or say things that require our own patience within ourselves to hear it. Um, but I love this idea of the fire horse working with us, that field of regulating ourselves, regulating together, and taking that medicine that is the medicine of the horse here and amplifying it as we also ingest that, as we take it into stride, as we allow like I said, nature, support, braces when we need them. And I think I started to say this, but didn't finish my thought. One of the things too is also the gratitude of what is. There was another song I considered for us this week that is called, I think, Everything is as it should be, but it was talking about just being in trust. That if I trust that that love has me, has got us, and that love is continuing to usher us forward, then I can let that be the paradigm that I lean into and trust. It doesn't mean, again, trust doesn't require your complete submission and lack of curiosity or questioning. Question. I think I again started to say this earlier, but something too that I'm releasing from coming out of a religious environment that demanded certainty is the allowance of uncertainty and also letting my faith walk with me through that. Letting faith meet me in those questions, knowing that I'll have the answers as I need them, knowing that I will be supported, no matter if I can see around the bend or not. That uncertainty of life will always be there for us, but we get to choose how we're going to navigate our ship through those currents. So it's been so good to be here with you in this space today. I'll see you next week.